Good morning, Thailand. Hope you enjoy the view. This is Friday the 13th, 2023 in the Kingdom of Thailand, specifically on the eastern seaboard of the Gulf of Thailand in the province of Rayong in the district of Ban Chang. I'll be back. Hope you enjoy the view. Hope you guys are doing well. Beautiful morning here on the upper deck. Give you a little spin around real quick. We have the cassava fields down below us. They just harvested all that and replanted it. It's already turning green. But here's our little upper deck. Probably kind of dark, but we are streaming on the GoPro today. Not going to stream real long. Having a little coffee on the upper deck, my usual way to start the day. So it's Friday the 13th, guys. It's a scary date in history, and it could be a scary one today. Hope you are all thinking about Israel and the loss of innocent life of so many nations around the world on the demonic, barbaric attack against civilians who were actually very sympathetic to Palestinian causes in Israel. So it doesn't matter your politics when they come to slaughter, right? So they're predicting this could be a big day of riots by radicals, because there's been a call to action by the leader of Hamas. So hope you guys are all doing well, and despite all the news, staying positive. Stay positive. All right, let's watch this beautiful sunrise. You know what? I'm gonna change the angle on you if I can. Let's see. Maybe. Maybe not. Okay, I'm gonna go back over here for now. Try to get something set up where we get a little bit more sunrise in the view. Let me check in on the chat. Good morning, love you too. Again, another unannounced spontaneous live stream from Triple T, your humble host at Teacher Thomas Thailand, YouTubing. I just up here having coffee and saw we have a gorgeous sunrise. We've had a lot of cloudy mornings where we didn't have much color to the sunrise, but this morning is just gorgeous. So there you go. Thought I'd bring it to you guys. We won't stream long, like I said. Just enjoy the sunrise. See if I can get set up over here a little better. Different view. Should do it. All right. Let's see what we got on this angle. Cheers from the castle of Nam Yen to wherever you are in the world. Hope you are doing well. Yeah, pretty good angle, pretty good angle. Nice. I feel very blessed to be where I am when I wake up in the mornings. In 2 more days, it will be the beginning of my 9th year consecutively living in Thailand. I arrived on October 15, 2015. Been here ever since, just vacation home back to the United States. I have daughters in Oklahoma, Missouri, originally from Kansas City, Kansas, but we moved out of the big city down to an area called Fairland, or if you're local, you say Fairland, Oklahoma, which is right outside of Joplin, Missouri. Kind of a tri-state area between Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Missouri. All 3 of those borders come together at one junction. So yeah, kind of like the 4 corners out in the west. It's the 3 corners of Oklahoma, Missouri, and Arkansas, and then of course Kansas is just a little further away. No, excuse me, it's Oklahoma, Kansas, and Missouri bordering together, and then Arkansas is just a little bit further to the south. So basically all 4 states are very, very close together. And I have family in Arkansas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, Texas, Arizona, Seattle. I've got family scattered all over, but mostly they're in the Midwest and the South. Oh, I also have family in Georgia. Jeez, don't want to leave anybody out. Got a lot of family. Good morning, Gary. How's the view and the audio? Everything okay, mate? Hope you're doing good down under in Australia. We're not going to stream very long. I haven't streamed on the GoPro in a while, so I wanted to get it back in action on some live stream. Been streaming with the new Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra, which I do like the quality of the live stream on the Ultra, but the GoPro is normally really hard to beat for good clarity on a live stream. We are all good on this end. Okay, Gary, thank you. We are streaming on narrow lens view of the GoPro Hero 9. So didn't go wide angle, went narrow, so we could kind of get a little closer to the sunrise. I see I need to move over just a smidge here. Get that pole out of the view. There, I think we're good there. Gary, I hope you're doing really well, mate. I know you're one of those people that does follow the news occasionally. It's kind of hard to not follow the news these days. Nothing surprising when you see just absolutely historic headlines and you're not surprised. That I know you guys just had a big election down there in Australia. Do you have any results, or when will you know the results of the referendum, if you don't mind? And we're not discussing things in political terms, we're just talking about current events. And I believe there was a pretty big vote in Australia yesterday. Man, got 5 people watching. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoy the sunrise. Gary says the video and audio is all good. Happy about that. So yeah, we're streaming on the GoPro 9 narrow lens, which is basically the most you can zoom in on a live stream with the GoPro, and we're streaming from the hotspot of the phone, not using the Wi-Fi router. Been quite a while since I had the GoPro out. I was tempted to buy the GoPro 10, but now the 11s are out, so I'm kind of glad I didn't buy a 10. But man, I've used this old GoPro 9. I mean, I've got a lot of hours on it, including most of my motor vlogs on the channel or with this camera. I mean, it's been through bad weather. It's been through a lot of wind. It's held up good. It's held up good. It's you know, I've had to do a few duct tape kind of repairs to it. It's so old, but still working good. The actual vote is tomorrow. Okay. Between the war and everything is overwhelming at times. I can relate to that comment, Gary. Let me tell you. I've always been very passionate about keeping up with global events. It's just, I mean, in school, I was always a good student in social studies. I love history. You know, history was always my favorite topic. That and science. For some reason, science was really, really easy for me. Matter of fact, even in junior high, my science teacher, which was an older, white-headed guy, I'm guessing he was probably in his 50s, our science teacher for the Highland Raiders in Kansas City, Kansas. You know, I hung out with the hoods and the jocks because I played football, and back then that was kind of the two groups, the hoods and the jocks. The hoods would smoke a little weed and maybe pop a few quaaludes. I mean, the hoods were, you know, hippies, and the jocks were into sports. Well, I was kind of a combination of both. But I basically hung out with the hoods more than the jocks. And in science class, when we were just goofing around, and I was being the class clown and didn't even care about the science project, this older man would come over and tell me, do you know how gifted you are at science? Why are you not leading your group in the study? You know? So for some reason, I was kind of his class pet, and I didn't have a father in my life, and I was very, very good at football. Defensive end with the most tackles, sacks, assists, you name it. Speed was in my favor, and growing up with 5 older brothers, I was not afraid to get hit. So my science teacher, which his name escapes me, and I'm sure he's passed on now, he came to all the football games, and then you know, Friday night football, and he would come into class Monday with a complete list of my statistics of the game. Now again, I didn't have any family members there supporting me. Kind of a broken home kid, you might say. Very independent. Started working at, you know, 13 years old, busing tape. But for some reason, science teacher really kept track of all. I don't know why, but he did. Nobody else did he do this for. Maybe he knew, because most of my other buddies had both good mothers and fathers, for the most part. You know, they had pretty good family support, so he knew I didn't, and maybe that's why he did it. Again, when you're, you know, 14 years old, a punk kid in junior high, you don't really have a whole lot of respect, and I should have had respect for the man, because he definitely cared about me. But he would show me the stats, and he'd be like, do you realize where you could go with this football career? Do you realize how good you are? Of course, I was a little skinny runt. I was, you know, 130 pounds soaking wet, so but he said, you know, you can change that. You know, you'll be able to bulk on, put on weight, you know. He said, there's a lot of drafted college athletes of your size that are not big men, but they are highly skilled, very fast. So anyway, short story long, you know, you look back on that stuff, and you wish that you'd have paid more attention, you know. And but for some reason, science was so easy to me that I just didn't put any effort. I'd do whatever I had to do, and it'd be turned in first, and I'm clowning around in class the rest of the day. So, but social studies and history was a different story, especially history. And so now, as an adult, I'll be 60 years old in 2024, God willing, but I'm still passionate about history and social studies, meaning current events. Back then, social studies was current events, right? You really had to do your thesis and your reports on something relevant to today's social classes or social environment. Excuse me. I'm still dealing with a little respiratory issues. But like Gary's comment said, it's overwhelming. It's hard for me to not tune in to what's going on in the Holy Land. But it's, you know, it's exhausting. You watch a little bit of it, and it's exhausting. But at the same time, I almost feel obligated to do so, because I know my daughters are not going to follow it that close. I would advise them to not follow it. Like I tell them all the time, hey, don't turn on the news when you get home. You know, watch family movies and whatever, but stay away from the news. It's just all depressing. But so I kind of, you know, I always feel like I need to be up to date on current events. Good morning, Sue. Another spontaneous live stream from the Castle of Nam Yin. Just hanging out, having a cup of coffee. Not going to stream very long, guys. And Sue, I'm streaming on the GoPro for the first time in a while. I don't know if you heard that earlier, but anyway, I really do everything I can to keep politics of division away from this channel, as you guys know. But to me, current events are not taking a political side or, you know, giving your opinion on the political situation. You're just discussing current events. And I'm telling you what, from my limited knowledge over the years of studying current events, just keeping up with social things all the way back. I mean, you know, I voted for Reagan in the second election. Was the first time I was old enough to vote. It was 84. Yeah, 84, because the first one was in 80, I believe. But and everything Reagan did as far as overseas foreign policy, I followed extremely closely. I was in the United States Army at the time, so you know, it just seems to be important to stay educated on current events, but at the same time, like Gary said, it can be very overwhelming. It can get depressing and all that. But just from my limited knowledge over the years of kind of paying close attention to global geopolitical events, this one is the scariest one I've ever lived through. I mean, I just never could imagine waking up to a headline that Israel declares war. But that's what's going on, you know, and I think it's important to at least stay tuned and, you know, listen to some press conferences from leaders and look at various statements from various nations around the world and kind of do your own research. And so that way, if things escalate and really get out of control, you've got a good foundation on the initial stages of what transpired. So that's basically all I'm going to say about that. I don't really want to just keep discussing the war in the Holy Land, but it is what it is. And you know, I wanted to do this stream on Friday the 13th, dawn here in Thailand. There has been a call by the Hamas leader. I don't know where he stays. I think in Qatar. A lot of them are in Qatar or Qatar, however you want to say it. But you know, they're calling for, you know, like a global jihad riot kind of thing today, Friday the 13th, 2023. And you know, currently, for those of you that are following, Israel is focused on the seaboard of the Mediterranean, the Gaza Strip, where the initial attacks of October 7th came from. But anybody that knows history knows that there's a lot of enemies of the state of Israel all around it, right? From the north to the east, to the West Bank, to Gaza, historically to the south in Egypt. You know, basically everybody knows the old ancient rivalries that go back a long ways. But anyway, we could be on the precipice of something that none of us are really prepared for. But I think if you stay at least somewhat knowledgeable and do your own research and really look at what other countries are saying, right? Really look at the official statements, which, you know, a lot of that is watered down because of politics and what they have to say to appease their own domestic audience. But really take a dive and kind of see, well, wait a minute, you know, who's siding with who here, and what could that possibly lead to? So I'm not going to give my opinions on it and what I think is going to happen. I just think that it's very possible with this, you know, call to, what do they call it, Fatah, or I don't know what it's called, by the very minority group of radical Islam, like ISIS and Al Qaeda, and, you know, those really extreme radicals. To them, it is a religious war. It's not an ethnic war at all. There was people from all nationalities slaughtered They didn't care. And what a lot of people don't understand is the part of southern Israel that is close to the Gaza border is really the most sympathetic Israeli citizens from all ethnic backgrounds. They're the most sympathetic, really, with the plight of the Palestinians and all that. So, you know, obviously it didn't matter to the barbarians, the demonic, evil, sick, twisted, brainwashed males that invaded. You know, they didn't care if they were part of the Israeli radical right-wing against two-state solution kind of hardliners, right? These people were the opposite of that. These people were the most sympathetic, you know. So it just goes to show you that for some reason in the most radical Islamic terrorist groups, it's not about land or ethnicity. It's about jihad. You know, it's about Allahu Akbar, right? And you know, I used to think Allahu Akbar was translated to God is great, because that's what I've heard for years and years and years. And again, do your own research on this. But from what I understand from Hebrew, Aramaic specialists, linguistic specialists, it actually translates to God is greater. So Allah is greater. So greater than any other God. So when there's killing innocents and doing all of this impossible to fathom brutality, like savages, when they're doing all that, they're yelling basically their God is better. Our God is better. It's just so twisted, you know. And I think most Muslims, we have a large Muslim population in Thailand, and I can tell you that they don't agree at all, right? So it's not, you know, ethnicity. I mean, there's so many Israelis that are of Arab descent that live with Jewish people and have peace and order and stable economy and all that, you know, in the democracy of the state of Israel. So I'm not defending everything Israel's ever done, right? And I don't even want to get into the complexities of, you know, the land issues. But the simple fact of the matter is the people that were slaughtered were probably very, very sympathetic to Palestinian causes and had no idea that they would be targeted with such brutality, you know. So, I mean, a peace festival, it's just unconscionable. I mean, and the children and everything. So enough about that. But it is a heavy weight to swallow, right? For the entire world, this could be global pretty rapidly, depending on this call to whatever the radical leader of Hamas is calling for all of Islam to rise up on this Friday the 13th, whatever that means. I don't know. But obviously every country internally, domestically, has to, I'm sure, I know in America, they're ramping up protection of Jewish synagogues and Jewish communities. You know, there's lots of coordination there because, you know, there have already been large protests within a lot of major cities in the United States. So anyway, none of us know really what's going to happen next, but I've always told my daughters to be knowledgeable. It doesn't mean you have to like bury yourself into the political arena and all that jazz, right? Just be knowledgeable of current events, history, and that way, if things happen suddenly that become more and more chaotic, then you're kind of prepared as much as you can be as far as knowledge. Kind of, well, you know, I've been anticipating that something might really go bad here, right? That could affect all of us. You know? So anyway, that's my 2 cents. I hope everyone, you know, just prays and contemplates, you know, a peace agreement of some kind. But it's not really realistic, is it, at this point? Well, it's more likely that we're going to see expansion, escalation. A lot of eyes have been focused on the war in Europe for, what, almost 2 years now. So a lot of attention has been taken away from the campaign in Eastern Europe with the Ukraine and all of the surrounding NATO countries, including Poland, and all of the attention that was getting has suddenly diverted to the Holy Land. And you know, people are going to try to take advantage of situations, right? It's the way the world works. So I hope everybody is staying positive and thinking about their loved ones and what's within their control. Be grateful for every day. You can wake up with a beautiful sunrise, clean air to breathe, and songbirds singing. Just be grateful for what you have, and stay on top of current events, but don't let it overwhelm you, because man, it's so easy to get depressed. Don't watch too much of it, you know. Thanks, Sue Ron. Appreciate it. Sue Ron says, at Triple T, we have to vote. Australia is not divided. We are all one. I think there's a lot of unity taking place. I think a lot of eyes are opening. Even the most sympathetic, bleeding heart lefties, right? I mean, just very sympathetic, big-hearted people to all oppression and all peoples, right, regardless of ethnicity, you know. Even those people, I mean, are like, whoa, right? This is an eye-opener. So, united, free people living in democracies. I mean, that's so important right now. So important. Time to put the divisions aside. Gary says, I believe sport is a great equalizer and provides confidence. Exactly right. I agree with you. Ooh. I touched something wrong there. Yeah, sports were so important for me growing up. Not a whole lot of the hoods played sports. There wasn't a whole lot of mixed bag where I was a jock because I was an athlete, and I was a hood because I was a, you know, come from a family of alcoholics. And you know, I mean, my childhood, you know, born in 1964 and growing up through the hippies and 70s and all that, we were psychedelic, right? We were, yeah. It didn't mean we were bad. It's just, you know, we had an escape. And a lot of that was, you know, marijuana and quaaludes and opium, you know, in junior high school. That was not uncommon in my era. We went to all the rock and roll concerts every weekend at Kemper Arena in Kansas City. So all the greats from all over the world, you know, everything from AC/DC to Bruce Springsteen and Bob Seger and CCR and, you know, the 70s and 80s genre of classic, what we call classic rock now. Tom Petty, I mean, ZZ Top. I mean, that's what we did. We weren't bad people, you know, just because we did some drugs. We all worked. Most of our parents didn't give us an allowance. Yeah, if you're going to have any extra money to go on field trips or do stuff, you had to keep a job. And back then, there's no problem, especially in the restaurant business and construction as well, for underage kids to get labor work. There was no problem, you know. In the restaurants, they actually cut you paychecks and took taxes out. You know, I'm talking 13, 14 years old, and you were on the books, on payroll. So, very different world we live in now. But nevertheless, you know, sports is very important. Of course, I was a youth sports coach for my 4 daughters, beginning with my oldest daughter in T-ball, and then coached for 14 years. Girls softball, co-ed, Little League, basketball, all girls sports. There was some co-ed in the younger groups, but after my daughters were older, it was all girls sports. And I felt that was important for my daughters to have that, you know, athletic curriculum through their school years too. So, appreciate the comment, Gary. Great sunrise. Yes. Stream is perfectly clear. Okay, good. Anything can happen. Boy, that's like an understatement at this point, right? It's like, I encourage people to follow the current events. Do your research. Understand some history. And be prepared for the worst. Hope for the best. Be prepared for the worst, because this could turn global in a hurry. I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but that's just a fact. Gary says, I don't understand how a group can commit the things they did to civilians and when challenged claim to be the victims. Yeah, you know, psychological propaganda, right? It just, the free world has come out and said there is no justification for terrorists, right? We took that stance against Al-Qaeda. We took that stance against ISIS. I'm talking the free world. When I say we, I don't mean USA. I mean, you know, the free world said no, 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 no. And, you know, unfortunately, there's casualties of war, but yeah, this was horrific, wasn't it, Gary? I mean, it's just no, to me, I described what happened when you think about all of the nationalities killed from all over the world, some tourists in Israel, many longtime residents of Israel, many of Israeli descent and Arabic descent. Think about all the slaughter. I mean, in my mind, that makes it really clear. It has nothing to do with Palestinians being victims of occupation or land disputes. I mean, if it was that, then the coordinated event, the attack that may have been planned for a year, would have focused on those issues. Would it not? Would have attacked military outposts, would have done something to make it clear that this was a land war, right? What they did in the brutality and complete demonic evil actions by these young men, taking captives and just the brutality of the whole thing makes it clear, in my mind at least, their motivation is holy war. It's a religious thing, you know. It's in their charter in Hamas, you know, to destroy the state of Israel. So that's not kill Jews. That's kill everyone, regardless if they're Jewish, that are in the state of Israel. So I mean, that to me is more religious, and I don't know how you, like Gary said, I don't know how you turn that around and say, but we're the victim. Wait a minute. You just came in and slaughtered all these people from all different backgrounds, many of which are sympathetic to the Palestinian causes. Many of which in that region of Israel. And I might add, Americans living in southern Israel and along the Gaza Strip that are very, very sympathetic with the Palestinian cause. You just slaughtered all of them. So how do you say, yeah, but? No, there's no yeah, but. I mean, you know, I heard the equivalency in regards to per capita population. Israel's about 9 million and the United States is 340 million. So the comparison to America would be if they came in and killed 35,000 Americans, which when you kill Americans are all ethnicity and nationality. There is no race in America that makes you American, right? So imagine that. What would America do if this kind of brutality was committed against 35,000 Americans? That's the scale when you compare the population per capita, right? What would the American, are you kidding me? What would we do? We wouldn't be counting the numbers of the dead on the other side. We wouldn't be discussing whether our bombs were destroying infrastructure and civilians, because it would be an all-out war. And in war, that's the way things work, whether we want to accept it or not. In World War II, when the Allies were bombing Germany, they weren't bombing the German bases in Germany. Of course, they were targets. We were bombing Berlin. Same thing with Tokyo, right? I mean, that is just war. So when I woke up to that headline, Israel declares war, I automatically knew what that meant. It's not about a counterattack or another circle of violence in the Holy Land. No, I mean, I knew, you know, as soon as I digested that statement, Israel declares war, that this was historic in my lifetime. So that's what it is. That's what they've declared. So I agree with you, Gary. I mean, there are victims, obviously, on both sides of a lot of borders. You know, you could say there's a lot of victims coming through America's southern border. They're victims of oppression and the crazy ass people that run their governments that they're escaping from. Okay, yeah, they're victims, but that doesn't give you the legal right to violate the citizenry and all of the legal immigrants in the United States. I mean, so you can't just say I'm a victim, so therefore it's justified. And especially, you cannot justify brutality and savagery against people that they cannot even claim we're not sympathetic to land disputes, two-state solutions, Palestinian causes, because the people in that region of Israel were mostly like commune living. They didn't even have strong police forces and stuff because they were sympathetic. They were sympathizers. They were appeasers, you might say, peace-loving people. Right? They didn't have an axe to grind, so they didn't know, you know, what was going to hit them, obviously. But I just don't know how you turn the tables on that. But obviously, every nation is going to take a stance, right? And you have to consider the official statements by nations are going to be for their domestic audience. So when Saudi Arabia comes out and says whatever they say, despite the agreements over the last, you know, 7-8 years that Saudi and Israel have come closer and closer to working together economically and intelligence, and despite all that, you know, Saudi Arabia is going to come out and support the Palestinians, you know, whatever, right? They're going to appease the domestic audience. We don't know what actual official government, you know, intelligence officers and people in control communicating with each other, right, of what's really going on. So, you know, there's no need to speculate. Just keep your eyes open and try to figure out what's going on. I hope it doesn't escalate, but just my opinion, I'm going to throw one opinion out. I don't see how it doesn't escalate. But, you know, pray for the best. I mean, it'd be nice if, you know, it was just strictly the Israel versus the Gaza Strip, and they are never going to allow that kind of attack from that region again, and it stays regional, and even though it's going to be brutal and a long campaign right there, that hopefully that'll be the only campaign and it won't escalate. But in my opinion, I don't see how it doesn't escalate. Anyway, guys, I'm going to go ahead and close the stream. Thanks for hanging out. Beautiful day, beautiful day. Gary says exactly. And look, I'm not trying to get people on any side, but I think when it comes to moral equivalence, we're trying to justify the absolute slaughter. I mean, I just am not going to digest that argument very well, no matter who it comes from. So I guess I kind of say that I have taken a side, but I do sympathize with people from all political spectrums, right? I've always tried to do that and not be you know, hard-headed and passionate about the way I believe things are politically, right? What's the old saying? The wisest man in the world was always the best listener, right? So if you're headstrong on your opinions about political and geopolitical things, then you're probably not going to be listening to all sides, right? All right, guys, peace and love to everybody. I'm going to sign out right here. Hope you enjoyed the beautiful sunrise. I didn't really expect to get into current events that deeply, but you know, that's live stream, right? And you know, Triple T kind of likes to ramble a little bit at times. I've been accused of having the gift of gab. But everything I'm accused of is not necessarily truth. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed it. Got a busy day. Friday the 13th. Thank you all for supporting the Triple D videos. We just had a recent short uploaded to Triple D. Try to post some photos and stuff on the community tab of the YouTube channel as well. He's such an important part of our life and the people that have been watching the YouTube channel for going back 4 years now. And in 2020, post-pandemic, well, we thought it was post-pandemic, when we opened a business there in Pala, that's when we came across Old Man Dan, and he smelt the bacon and sausage cooking, so he would come around. And so people that go back and watch, there's actually a Triple D playlist on the channel, and go back and see the origins of this wild, neutered soy dog that was scrawny and just looked like, crap. And we kind of, started feeding him and got attached to the little guy, and now he's here. He is safe, he is fat and happy, and he's very old. We had the vet, that came and helped us rescue him and give us an estimate, and that was her estimate at that time last year. It was 10 or 11. I'm guessing he's 12, 84 years old, but we appreciate all the Triple D fans, because really he tells his own story about his apprehension to trust anyone because of his background and all that stuff. So we really appreciate those Triple D fans and those thumbs up on Triple D. All right, guys, I'm getting out of here. Peace and love to everyone. Have a great day. Thanks to the moderators, and thanks to everyone watching. Have a wonderful Friday the 13th. And whatever you do, try to keep track of some current events and do your own research, so that no matter what may happen, we will not be surprised. Alright guys, thanks for watching. This is Triple T, your humble host, Teacher Thomas Thailand, here in Ban Chang, Rayong, Thailand.